Welcome back, everybody, to the unabashed glamour of building your own crawler course. Some people might aim a little smaller, but we don't know how. So we get ourselves a bunch of material, and then we process that material, as is the way of things. I would be lost without my handy dandy dirt sifter. Because sometimes you want rocks, and sometimes you don't. And for fill material that goes between rocks, I find that no rocks is better. What we have here is we've got dirt, but a big part of that dirt is DG, decomposed granite. You'll notice this by the fact that there's very little dust that comes off of this, which is genuinely refreshing. I leave the pea gravel for Eddie. I don't really have much use for rocks. Tennis ball size, I guess. Smaller than a tennis ball, I don't have much call for. I've been jabbering on and forgotten how many scoops I've put in. I generally try to keep track of that, as otherwise it makes the wheelbarrow very difficult to move. That's an interesting little guy. This is a rinse and repeat process. Yeah. And then we take it elsewhere. We've got the glamour and the unglamour. The glamour is some small part of me feels like Canadian treasure Les Stroud, because I have to walk back and forth. I gotta move a heavy thing, and then I gotta move the camera, and then I gotta move a heavy thing, and then I gotta move the camera. But at the same time, that's exhausting, honestly. This is how we do. Try to keep pace with the water. Our good friend, the mortar hoe. I think the mortar hoe is almost as much a necessity as the wheelbarrow, because if you're gonna unleash your inner child and mix the mud, this is the only way to fly. I'm desperately trying not to be too breathy. Sort of developed an eye for this, though I will say this particular batch of dirt, being DG, is a little bit different of a mix. Well, it's a very bit different of a mix from what we'll call native soil. This stuff, as I hope the camera will translate, and if you know your construction materials, this stuff stands up like concrete. And anyone who's ever hand mixed a sack of concrete, it even looks the same. It's got the same sort of peak to it. This is a little hair thinner than what I've been mixing before. Hey, Jeej. But I'm going to illustrate the firmness and capability of this material. You'll see here basically a slump block there from yesterday. Give this a little wiggle. Mind you, this is mud. Now that's a little thin. You can see a little bagged edge on it, whereas the one from yesterday perfectly squared up. So the dirt with the decomposed granite in it is so firm. It's still dirt, and give this another couple days to cure. It's about as rock-like as you could expect from dirt. So I've been using it wherever possible. As you can see, the pile of river rock is down to all nothing. Hey, Jidge again. We've got the big boy, so big that it was virtually impossible to relocate. So I think that fellow will be incorporated into what Dry Bone Valley will become. The remainder was placed here. I've worked towards a bit of this valley here, which remains untested. All along down here, I built a transitional spot to move on up. The remainder went in here to fill this corner. As I've mentioned too many times, if a particular spot doesn't get used, like the way this corner sloped down like that, you couldn't drive over here. It would just shuttle you into the wood and then you were done. So this is all placed and filled in. And then I got most of this pretty much the way I want it. And most of what's left over in the rock is too large. Like we've got that big boy down there that I used to get my hose stuck on. So I've been working on this, and the only problem is that when you're doing a soft fill on top, the DG will rise up and you get all the decomposed granite loose on the top. So this will kick out over time, and this is kind of the pinnacle of using essentially found material. There's no money spent on this. This is all sweat equity, and you can see some spots where it's still dark that the mix, the slumpy mud there has not had time to dry. But that's fine. We don't mind. There's little pockets of dirt everywhere. So what we generally do is we drive on it before it's done and see what we can mess up. So a couple small notes here as I sit down for a moment. I thought I would divide it up, instead of moving. I generally try to do at least 10 full wheelbarrows per day. Try to knock that pile down. Instead of doing all 10 at once, I thought, let's drive a little in the middle. Yella has undergone quite the revamp in the past couple days. I reseeded all of the holds, and as I somewhat forecast, every spot where there was a slipped bead was indeed a bit of the foam had crept over and was pinched between the beadlock ring and the face of the rim. Okay, I got the bumper stuck in. This is very slippery here. So while I was at it, I noticed that no matter what I did, I also sent those front end points, which I think is valuable. Otherwise, he'd be popping and locking right here. So I retightened them all down on the chrome wheels, just decided to leave chrome on here. I noticed that no matter what I did, as I built the rear shock towers, but the front shock towers are still the OE shock towers because they have the body mounts integrated into them. no matter what I did, I couldn't get the front low enough. It has a stock length shock, a 90mm shock. Just literally just trying to blow some dirt out of here. I'm trying to push up towards the rock that's by the little plastic bin. Hey, oh, that is proper slippery. So upon noticing that there was nothing I could do to get the front end lower, I moved the rear shocks over a hole, and in all the work that's been done to Yella over the past 2 weeks, I would guess, so much on him has been changed that if I can get a tire on the inside of that rock, I'm going to be able to push over. I have effectively made this nearly impassable. Oh, but there, come on, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Straighten out. Yeah, this is what happens when you go at it before it's set. There we are, we're up. Where was I? Noticing that the front end couldn't go low enough. I thought, let's try something non-permanent before we fully commit. Turned some nylon spacers so that I could put shock keys onto the front shock towers, which was a bit of a hassle because I needed spacers 6mm or smaller around 4mm tall. I didn't have anything like that, you know, just pre-made off the shelf. Turned some nylon rod. Nylon loves to melt. And I lost, I think, to get 4, I think I made 8 of them because I would part one off the lathe and it would just disappear. Oh, all right, I guess we're going the other way now. So I got shock keys on the front. I will show those off here at some point. Yeah, I knew this was going to be hard when I placed that little sandstone-y looking guy. I don't even know. Yeah, oh, I was going to say I don't even know if there's an angle to draw this up. Yeah, once that DG sets in, you know, give it a couple weeks, I think it'll be nice because it's going to firm up real good. But you can definitely see the difference in color gradation between dry and wet, and anything over an inch or so thick is still very wet. That test slump block was still very wet. Oh, all right, that might be the way. I mean, the goal, I kind of have this goal to be able to pass right in through where that rear tire is, right in through that little narrow. Oh, you can, I don't know if you can hear it like I can hear it, but there's some slip there. Yeah, the hold are much better at digging than the rupture. It's a much better dig tire. I think that's because of the orientation of the blocks. See, I can really pull it around. That was a bit of a slide. It's good hold. Some good hold there. No pun intended. Pun landed, but no pun intended. Let's try that the opposite way here. Before I get back to work. Oh, that's just in the mess. Oh, yeah, these tires are so good. I thought for sure we were stuck there. I'm still getting some crawlerization. Rears are spinning in the rim a little bit. Other notes before I get back to shoveling. I noticed that I had incidentally uploaded, I've uploaded every day in July, today being the 5th of July, so hopefully what is being recorded now will be uploaded on the 5th of July, as I gave myself a goal. Here's some unrelated history. In 2019, when the cycling was still the dominating force in my life, there was a Strava challenge. Strava is Facebook for people that run and ride bicycles, I guess. I mean, if you wanted to sum it simply. Goodbye, little friend. There was a Strava challenge in July of that year, in the olden times before the pandemic, in cooperation with the bicycle company Trek, who I feel the same way about Trek that I do about Proline, so I think that's all I need to say about that. But if you're going to give me swag for doing something that I wouldn't ordinarily do anyway, I will do it. So there was a challenge to ride 1,000 miles in the month of July, and you got a stem cap. Yes. Which, I've made stem caps before. I've made hundreds of them, but, if somebody's going to give me a stem cap that only the people who do stuff get, then I'm going to try to get that. So I rode 1,000 miles in the month of July. July in the inland desert of Southern California is a hot place. So there were a number of days that I was up at 4 in the morning to be on the bike and try to close out those 1,000 miles. So this year, I thought I would go easier on myself and give myself a lesser goal, as I will probably ride the bike, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 times this month, maybe. I would have had a goal for 8, but Anime Expo ate up pretty much the first week of the month. So my goal is to upload a video a day. Shorts don't count, as I am apparently, I have been removed from the shorts rotation. I had uploaded one with Misdirection and one with Yella when Yella first got his ruptures mounted, and I apparently got enough down thumbs that they pull you out of the rotation. I was talking to my buddy, the gentleman that owns Colonel Mustard, and we were trying to think, like, in terms of YouTube, in terms of Pandora, anything where you can really offer a thumbs up, thumbs down, how many times we've thumbed something down. Now, this isn't an offhand rant by a novice content creator. This is just a question to humanity. Like, who are the people that thumb things down? Like, I looked in my Pandora history, and I've thumbed down 6 songs. I've had Pandora, like, since it became a thing. We've been on the Pandora Premium, no ads, for over a decade. I've thumbed down 6 songs. I was trying as hard as I could to think, what have I thumbed down on YouTube? I don't think I've ever thumbed a video down. Ever. But, I get 10 a week on my normal videos. And the Misdirection video got like 18 thumbs downs on that little short. If you haven't seen it, go watch the like 12 seconds of that short and see if you see anything there that offends you to the point where you would thumb it down. Look what we got over here. The OG rock crawler, who she genuinely believes the entire facility was constructed for her. Yeah, there's squirrels in that pile, Gigi. If you want to try to get any of them, then please do that. She is surprisingly active for a cat that we can't even remember, but we think this year she turns 15. So, coming back around to where I was before, the stream of consciousness gets choppy. So shorts don't count. So I would like to upload 31 videos for the month of July. I am obviously going to run out of ideas. And trying to upload a video a day means I can't get in too deep into the production side, as you know. Oh, that's nice. So I guess here's where I'll flounder through the stream and ask anyone if you got any ideas. Is there something I've got that you want to see? Do you just want to listen to me ramble while I drive a rig around for a little while? Because I'm particularly good at that. Not so much the driving, but the rambling for sure. I mean, the goal is obviously before the month ends to get this done, and oh, that's a lot. As I figure, this is we're getting pretty close in. I mixed that mud really not having a purpose for it. I might try to set the pile. There's a pile of rocks right here. I might try to get those incorporated in somewhere, but I have to remember that I do, I drive a lawn tractor around here. I move wheelbarrows around. So spaces have to be kept. I like to keep a sort of a minimum level of clearance. So if you've got any ideas, I ask the viewer base to help me out. I don't know. I would like to build a rig this month, but I have no idea what I want to build. My pestering leaf spring advocate has been pushing me to add a leaf spring rig, but I just fairly and honestly, I can't bring myself to spend RC four-wheel drive money. So I'm pretty sure I've set my mind on a G-made sawback because it's leaf spring. It's not as grotesquely expensive. It comes in a variety of kit flavors. Everyone is out of stock with it, apparently globally. But as soon as it comes in stock, I will be building one, and I will take you all along on that journey. So I am going to get back to this momentarily. I think I will show a little body off look at Yella to see what he's looking like now. I will provide a short and succinct cautionary tale for the outro, and then I'll get back to like work because to be fair, I can't do camera wheelbarrow, camera shovel, I understand, I recognize, and I'm attempting to embrace the notion that it's all content, but I got a lot of dirt to move, and you see the size of the concrete pile that the cat is guarding. That's not where any of that goes. So I gotta move all that, not today, obviously, but I gotta move that stuff. Oh, yeah, before I drive for another 20 minutes and talk for another 20 minutes, that pumpkin, the rear is just stuck. Oh, that's nice. Oh. Yeah, changing Yella from the, changing Yella's radios. Oh, look at that. I guess when you find the perfect line, you found the perfect line. Changing Yella's radio to the RC4GS was perhaps the best idea I had because I could deal in some throttle expo for reverse. Because as you see in front, in forward you can creep and you gotta like punch to pop. But in reverse, I can now do this. And before, it was the second my finger touched it, it just launched, and I was flying backwards off of rocks. I think I put like 40% negative expo on the curve, on the brake curve, and it's much more maneuverable now. The reverse slow creep is in effect now. And then, of course, the holding power of that motor. That's just sliding because gravity. It's like the perfect, Yella might have the perfect drag brake. And if these things can pull up river rock like this, they are doing something. All right, let me give you a look under the hood, a cautionary tale, and then back at it, Here's Yella. And he's had a couple changes. You can see from this profile shot, He looks like he's sitting very low. I have the rear shocks moved as far forward as possible. I have the front shocks moved as rearward as far as possible. These with the aforementioned spacers to get the shock keys on. As there was just no way to get the front end any lower than about there. Like, it was basically almost all the way up. I went with the softest springs I could find, which turned out to be Element. Grays in the rear, blues in the front. Tires are all remounted. They all seem to be working well. I could put the shorter servo mount plate. It used to have an extended plate back from when Yella had a 550. That appears to have helped because I figured any amount of weight I can move forward is superior. I set end link positions so he can't lock his whole front end up. The shock situation in the front is certainly impermanent, but it does work. I made a bunch of changes all at once. Oh, and another one. Here's a critical one that I had almost neglected to point out. You'll notice the rear upper link position. I'm now on the outsides, which effectively it messes with the triangulation of a rear end, because if they're tighter together, it's going to keep the rear end more stable. But what had happened is, because this thing has been so modified, I guess is the word, when they were on the inner position, I could only get the rear to deflect about that much. Like, it would get full deflection on this side and go out this far, and then the turnbuckle would hit the drive shaft. And I never noticed this in all the time driving. So it was one of those things that definitely, as soon as I took it out and I moved that link over, I noticed the difference. Both sides have the exact same amount of flex now. There doesn't appear to be any negative. The rig handles as it always has, if not a little better. So the triangle is a much more strange triangle than it was before. This also kind of pushed the pumpkin angle up a little bit in the rear, if that can be seen. So the sum total of stuff that got moved around, spring change, servo relocation, rear link movement, front shock mount movement, everything seems to have actually cooperated. So he's definitely better, and he's definitely sitting lower. I don't know if this could be told from basic viewing, but the body in the rear is cut up as far as it can go, because the lugs stand much taller on these tires, and I still get a little bit of lug rub. And this is on a 12.8 inch wheelbase on a 12.3 inch body. So I don't know. Like, if this was a 12.3, the front links wouldn't move because they're centered. So it would just be the rear moving in a half an inch. I don't think there's enough body I could cut out. But once again, you build it one way and then things move around, and then you ramble on and on about it. So we're going to put Yella away for the moment. It still tickles me, the size of that speed control. This little guy is the speed control, and this massive thing over here is the BEC. And little Yella does all that work on that 3629 motor, which is just a little wee babby of a thing. We're going to put Yella away, and we're going to wrap up today's ramble. I think every day might turn into a ramble. I've been running my GT5s, and there are a large number of them. I think there's 7 of them. I've been running them on these cheapster Urgenix 1000 milliamp hour high performance LiPo batteries, and they work okay. I think the warning sign should have been that they are 2 for $20, which is why I have, I think I have 7. I think I've bought 4 2-packs. One of them lost a cell, so that should have been a warning. Because then I had one that when I pulled it out of the pack, like this is very firm. When I pulled it out of the radio, it felt a little, just a tiny bit puffy. Like on one side, it wasn't super firm. It had a little bubble right there. So what happened there is then I broke all the rules. you know, there are the rules of charging a LiPo battery, and you can already tell where this is going. You don't leave them unattended. If the battery's puffy, you throw it away. Because if the battery is puffy and you don't throw it away, there's, I think that's cell 1, and I think that's cell 2. Either way, that's one cell and that's the other one. They are now, each cell is now, you can see the construction of a lithium battery. It's basically just folded back and forth. It just folds. Here is the balance board that it was plugged into. Here is the charge lead that was next to it. Here is the charge lead that it was plugged into. This is the balance board that was next to it. So what this comes down to is the only reason that I am still standing in the structure in which I am standing and the building didn't burn down is a two-factor thing. One, this is a 7.4 watt-hour battery, so it doesn't have a ton of energy in it. But what it did have enough energy to do, and you can see, the battery was sitting right here. I charged them on this. This is a soldering mat, a silicone soldering mat. So the battery was sitting right here, just like that, plugged into the balance board, right about there, with obviously the other lead. And when it went fully out of balance from the puffed cell, it looks like the flame jet shot out right about where the wires come out. They attempted to burn a hole in the plywood right here. There is black soot, like my fingers are already getting black, like everywhere. Everywhere in this building. I have vacuumed, I've wiped, I've cleaned. Everything has little flecks of black soot on it. And I'm not mad about it because my workshop didn't burn down. And this was just 100% complacency. Like, I have charged thousands upon thousands of LiPo packs. I've never had one cook off, and I never even think about it. I've never had one go bad in a vehicle. Every pack I've had go bad, I plug it into the charger and it says like low voltage or whatever, and I plug my cell checker in it, and one of the cells is just either gone or at like 0.8 volts, and I just throw it away. The little 2 cell that looked like that one and then burst into flames, one cell was at like 2.8 volts. The other one was like 3.4 and the other one was 2.8. So I was like, they're not even that far apart. They look fine. Didn't think about it again. Threw it on the charger, went outside, went about my business. Came inside and was like, what is that? It has that weird like nitrogen fertilizer smell. Didn't even think about it. And then I looked up at the vintage ProTech RC Prodigy 610 Duo and it said connection break. And that's when I looked down and noticed the evidence of a small LiPo fire. So, as I say in many of these videos, my goal is to just help one person. Don't get complacent. If anything, go down to Lowe's. They have these. This one's all full of junk right now, but get one of these silicone mats and charge your battery on those silicone mats, or you can get a LiPo charge bag, and just don't get complacent, because I realized standing there then and standing here now, I realized if that had been any bigger of a battery, if it was that, which is 66 watt hours, and it had pumped all 3 cells out, it probably would have burned the building down, because I didn't come in here. I think it did it during the night. Like, I think I plugged the batteries in and I went inside the house. So don't do that. Go wheeling. Be careful. Watch your batteries. If one puffs up, ignore the cost. If it's a $90 battery or it's a $10 battery, just ignore that and dispose of it. Like legit. Like if I have, well, I've gone to the extreme in that regard. Here amongst the wreckage, here are all of the remaining Ergenix packs. I still think that they are, that the issue was the FlySky GT5, because the GT5, for whatever reason, will pull the voltage down until when you flip the switch, they just don't turn on. And that is, I think, it pulled one cell down so far that it basically puffed the pack and blew it up. I've used these as backup packs in my radio links, and they seem to work fine. So the replacement for the time being and the near and immediate future, you can't beat the price. 48 Amazon Basics will get you going. So all the GT5s are now full of Amazon Basics. It's not hard to throw a couple in my pocket. I'm going to test some of these out in the radio links, because as I've said, I've never had a problem with them in the radios. It's that when the radio sits on the shelf for a month and that rig doesn't get used, there must be something in the GT5 where there's a constant load on the battery. So it doesn't appear to be the problem with RC4s, because I have a couple RC4s. I don't know if it's Lily Yella's radio. It is not. I have a couple RC4s that have the LiPo packs that are kind of specifically for them, 2800 milliamp, and they never pull down. A radio will sit at around 8.3 volts for 2 months. So they appear to be fine. So as long as I haven't isolated that these batteries themselves aren't the problem, they will be used sparingly and sort of as backup batteries. Like I can toss one in my pocket because you don't have to pull anything out. You can just move the radio tray, plug those in, done. There's no cutting, there's no rewiring. But for the time being, I'm going extra old school and I'm going back to AA's. So if anybody's got the Ergenix packs and are using them in their G25s, just be aware. I realize that's going to be a very small cross-section of people, but once again, we're just offering this is an unsolicited public service announcement. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening to me ramble. It's day 5 of 31. I will move more dirt, and maybe we might get to moving concrete today. Don't know. I do thank you for watching. I hope that I have provided a cautionary tale to some. It turns out, I lost $20 and stuff. I needed 2 charge leads and 2 balance adapters, and that was it. So that was all I lost. I didn't lose any chargers. The building didn't burn down. I consider it the best case scenario for what happened. Also, in this last minute, I'd like to point out I'm using a new microphone, a wireless lavalier microphone. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I have too much recorded. Hopefully this won't sound like garbage. We're going to find out together, because I'm going to upload it, because I've promised myself a video a day. So if you have any video ideas, shoot them out. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below. Please do. Please do. As a gentleman once said, do a comment. And, oh yeah, subscribe if you haven't, etc., etc. And I and the royal we absolutely look forward to seeing you tomorrow. See you later, everybody.